Hey everyone, it's Jessica, and today is the fourth installment of my 10 Days of Truth, sharing openly and honestly about my struggles with mental illness in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. Today, I want to share a little bit about the ways that I've treated my depression and my anxiety using medication. I actually don't remember when I first went on medication. I think that it was somewhere around my maybe junior year of high school, but between my sophomore year and my senior year of high school and even a little bit beyond that, my husband and I refer to those times lovingly and a little bit jokingly as my lost years or like the lost moments. There are so many things that I don't remember from that time in my life. It's almost like there are these big chunks of things that are just not there. I can't even recall or pull back a lot of the information and memories from that time. And it's not all of it. There are a lot of things that I remember and a lot of memories that I have, but a lot of times my husband will say something about those times of our life, and I will have no concept whatsoever what he's talking about. Like, I don't remember. I believe you, but I literally cannot recall anything about that, and that's very interesting. I don't know if scary is the right term to use for it because it doesn't necessarily scare me so much, but like it's unsettling. I guess that would be a good way to put it. It's unsettling to have things that are just sort of missing, and you know that they happened because you're talking to somebody who was there and can say, yes, we did this. Actually, when we drove from Maine to Seattle after my parents had gotten divorced and, we were moving across the country and my dad was staying back in Maine, there are entire pieces of that trip. It was a 4-day trip. There are entire chunks of it that I don't remember at all. I actually only remember probably several hours of the 4-day trip, here and there. And other than that, I mean, granted, a lot of it was just like driving across the Midwest. So, no offense to people who live in the Midwest, but not super exciting or quite memorable necessarily. But I was just so distraught and so upset and so just like caught up in, there were so many thoughts and emotions that were swirling around that I really did like block out all kinds of stuff from there. So very interesting to this past week. I've been trying to think, when did I first go on antidepressants? And I actually don't remember. But I do think it was sometime around when I was a teenager. It wasn't really that big of a deal at the time. My mom has always been somebody who, she was an EMT and she, has never really viewed medical treatments as a bad thing or even something, she obviously does things thoughtfully and intentionally and cautiously, but, she's definitely the kind of person who says like, you have a headache, you should take some Advil. You have a medical condition, you should, seek treatment for that. And so I'm sure that had a lot to do with not having it be that big of a deal when I first went on antidepressants. But like I said, I also don't remember that much stuff from that time. So maybe it was a big deal. Maybe it was something I was nervous about and, kind of unsure about. But in any event, I don't remember. So it seemed to work out fine. I stayed on antidepressants and was on them sort of off and on throughout my 20s. And then around my mid 20s, I made the choice to go off of them. I really did not like the side effects of the antidepressants. And unfortunately, I have, even living in a lot of different states and going to a lot of different doctors, I have never really found somebody who seemed to like engage in a lot of deep conversations or even conversations at all really about antidepressants and finding the right one and making sure you have the right dosage and all those kinds of things. And someone who's really seeking to understand me and what makes me tick and what some of the things are that I'm trying to sort of resolve by being on antidepressants. It's always been very much of just like, oh yeah, that sounds fine, let's put you on this, and or oh, that was what you were on before, let's just put you on that. And granted, I think some of that is because I didn't, through my early 20s, like I didn't really know how to talk to a doctor about the side effects that I was experiencing, or like, hey, is there something we can do to change the dosage, or like I didn't know. I wasn't as informed as maybe I am now, and just kind of went with it. And so I chose to go off of the antidepressants because of the side effects. And I also kind of wanted to see, I felt like, in my mid 20s, I felt like things were really starting to settle for me. And I was, I was getting married, and I had a really good job that was like a career that was kind of evolving for me. And I felt really happy and healthy for the first time in a long time. Sort of like as a whole person. And so I decided that, it would be a good time to try that. So I went off the antidepressants and it worked out really well for me. There were probably some ups and downs and some phases where like, it wouldn't have been a bad thing for me to be on antidepressants. But for the most part, I really was glad that I did that. And so I have actually not been on antidepressants, for the past probably close to 10 years now. And I really liked that. Not because I think that there's anything wrong with being on antidepressants, but I felt like between the side effects and just, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm very emotional. I view the world through my empathy and my emotion for others, and all those kinds of things. And so it felt like I was kind of like being dulled down. When you're on antidepressants, sometimes it's just like finding that sweet spot with the dosage and the right medication and all of those kinds of things, and then factoring that in with just like everything that's going on with your life, because your life is going up and down and you've got all these neurological and hormonal things going on constantly, and when you take all of that and then you're trying to find a sweet spot of the medication, and it's like, this just sits there and then this is kind of volleying all over the place. So I have found, and maybe there are medical professionals who would hear me say that and be like, that's ridiculous, like of course we can figure this out. But like I said, I've never had a doctor who has really helped me to find that sweet spot. And so in any event, for me, I felt like I didn't want to just sort of be more flat than my normal self. I want to experience the really high highs, and sometimes I want to experience the really low lows. And when I'm experiencing the low lows, I would tell you that I don't want to experience them. But I do. I want to be my like full range of myself. And so all of that said, recently I decided that I should probably think about getting some medication for my anxiety. And in my head, like these were two unrelated things. My anxiety has actually been living separately from my depression for a long time. And the anxiety is really the thing that I was looking to treat, because I didn't really feel like I was having to deal with too much depression for the last 6 to 8 months. And so I decided to go to a doctor and talk to them about getting some medication for my anxiety. And I don't know why, but like it took me forever to go and to do that. And I think there's something about having this awareness of my struggles, and like it's not like it's a weakness, or like I felt like I was being weak by going, but it was just really scary. And the thought of like verbalizing to somebody, especially someone who I didn't know and have a relationship with, and saying like, yes, this is a thing, and it is such a serious thing that I feel like it's such an ongoing and consistent thing in my life now that I need to find a better way to treat it. And maybe that was the part that was hard too, was to sort of admit like this isn't going away tomorrow. Like, the strategies that I'm trying right now are clearly not working. So now I have to try something else. And then I think I also was really, really worried about like, what are the side effects going to be? And, how is my personality and my mood going to be impacted by all this? So anyway, through talking to a new doctor, and I've seen her a few different times now to kind of try to figure out the right medication, the right dosage, and all that kind of stuff. She actually put me on Zoloft, so I take Zoloft every day, which is interesting because I'm on an antidepressant now to treat my anxiety. And, I was a little reticent about that at first. I was like, oh, I really don't want to go back on an antidepressant. Like, I don't know that I love, the idea of like it changing not who I am, but you know what I mean? Like some of my highs and my lows. And she was like, well, it's not the right one or the right dosage if that's happening. Like, you should still be your normal self. Just without like such really high and low spikes, and you should actually feel more like yourself when you're on the medication. And so I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, I'm like, well, sometimes I do, and sometimes I wonder like, would I have normally cried about this, but I'm not crying now, and is that a good thing? I don't know, do I want that, do I not want that? But I think overall it's been very helpful. And I also have Xanax, and I take those just as needed when I'm having an anxiety attack, or when my anxiety is getting really bad. Both are really low dosages, and so I feel pretty good about that. The Xanax, on a really great day, I don't have to take one at all, and sometimes I'll go a whole week or so without having to take one, which is really awesome. Other weeks I'll have to take one more frequently, sometimes every day. Like, that would be a really bad week. And a really, really, really bad week would be like I have to, because I usually take a half at a time. And so a really, really bad week would be like I have to take a half and then I have to take another half. And I'm doing that every day for several days in a row or for a whole week. But it's been really helpful, and it's nice to know, like especially like having the Xanax and just knowing that I have it with me. It's nice to know that if I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm starting to like shiver and my blood feels like it's boiling and I'm like having such a shortness of breath that I can't breathe and I'm so distracted by all of my anxiety that like I can't even focus on what's going on. It's just nice to know that I have something in my purse that I can pull out and help mitigate some of that so that I can attend to my job, because that's really when mental illness is just I mean, it sucks all the time, but it particularly sucks when it starts interrupting your life and your ability to go through your day to day. So those things have been really helpful. So overall, I'm just really thankful that I was able to take that step recently to, talk to somebody about getting medication for my anxiety. Definitely think it has helped. I really appreciate just having access to good medical care and medications and be able to afford those things and have them not be outside of, sort of my ability to even pay for. And, it's nice to know that they're there. I do think that there will probably come a time where, I have enough self awareness and enough awareness of what's going on in my life and kind of, the phases of life that I'm going through to probably recognize when, similar to in my mid 20s, I'm ready to say, oh, well, things seem pretty stable and I think I'd like to try going off of my medications and, be able to talk to my doctor about doing that. But for right now, I'm just taking things one day at a time and, just trying to put the pieces all together and, knowing that I am very grateful for the access that I have to those treatments, and that it's something that I don't need to be as afraid of or scared about or worried about doing. Like that it's an important step that I took and that it was the right step for me. I really do believe that. But I think it's something that I'll talk about in another video is sort of my I don't know if I'd say preferred treatment plan, but like something that I've just found so beneficial, which is therapy. And so I'll talk more about that. But overall, I really wish that we had more access for people to all of the different types of treatments that would really help them. So I feel really grateful that I'm able to do that. And it sometimes I get a little worried about our sort of societal pop a Valium and take a Xanax and drink some wine and have another cup of coffee and now everything will be fine. We sort of seem to be desensitized to the importance of being thoughtful about taking medications, I guess. And, again, like similar to in my video about ableist language, like when someone else says, oh, I'm so anxious, and really they just mean I'm nervous about something, and how that takes that word away from me and it takes that meaning away from me when I need to use it. I think in some ways by just like saying like, oh, just take a Xanax or just, all moms should be on Valium. Like when we do that, we make it seem like that you should never have any sort of struggles whatsoever. Like you should just always be even keel all the time, no ups and downs at all. But we also, I think, devalue and take those things away from people who really do need medication. And then when somebody is trying to say like I am struggling right now, it becomes almost this like quick fix of like, oh well, just pop a pill, everything will be fine. Most mental health issues are not so simple as just pop a pill and then you'll be fine. They are so complex, and it'll probably take me my whole life to continue to evolve as a human and process through all of the things that impact my mental health. And I know that I will always struggle with depression, and I will always struggle with anxiety, and I will I'm very I don't know, I'm very aware of all of that. But I also think that it doesn't mean I'm not going to or don't need to put in a lot of hard work over the years still, and just make sure that I'm overall taking care of myself, because really you're not solving those deeper problems and those deeper things that impact your mental health. You're not solving any of them when the only thing you're doing is taking that sort of quick fix. But I also don't think that medication is just a quick fix, because neurologically there are a lot of things that are going on that you can't necessarily control. So I think it's just really important to know what your options are, and for us to have more well-rounded conversations. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We should be having more well-rounded conversations and being more thoughtful and taking more of a holistic approach, I suppose, to not just the conversations, but the treatments as well. And just getting to the point where we can sort of assess all of the options and have lots of choice for people, and then be able to pursue the choices that are right for them. So anyway, that is my video for today. I hope all of you had a really great day. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.